Good morning to you watching. So this is episode number 2 of The Walking Dead and Makeup, where I get ready for my day and recap the episode of Walking Dead I watched last night. So last night was, as I said, episode 2. It starts off with you're at the refugee camp, the one that you saw briefly in episode 1, the one with Rick's wife and child and his old police partner. So this is the refugee camp we're at. You really only know that because at first you see one of the old men that looks familiar. He was like the only one I recognized though. And then you finally see Rick's wife, which is like, duh, now we know where we are. And so she goes out looking for mushrooms to eat because, of course, they're all living off the land now because zombies. And so she goes off on her own, and the old man's like, stay within shouting distance because if something goes wrong, we need to be able to get to you. That kind of thing, be safe. Don't go from the path. Well, at one point you see her go from the path because of course she goes from the path. And that's always what happens in these horror movies. The characters do stuff you don't want them to do. And so she's picking mushrooms and she's getting freaked out because she's hearing birds and squirrels and she's like, what's happening? She is found by someone that grabs her face and throws her to the ground and freaks her out. And you find out that someone is Shane, the former partner of Rick. And they have this moment where she's like, gosh, you scared the crap out of me. And he's like, I thought you liked that. And then, of course, they start getting adult and doing things. And they stop for a hot minute when she takes off her shirt and they realize she's still wearing a necklace with her wedding ring on it. So it's oh, Rick, you're technically still married. But to be fair, they don't know Rick is alive. So, and who knows if they will ever know if Rick's alive. Anyway, so that's pretty much all you see at that point. And then it goes to the credits, the opening credits. And so when they come back from the credits, we are reminded that Rick is stuck in a tank with a whole bunch of walkers all over the place and surrounding him and eating his horse, which is really sad. That's why you don't introduce animals to these things. They always end up dead. Anyway, so he's stuck in the tank and there was a voice on the radio. Well, the voice on the radio is still talking to him and he's talking back. And the voice on the radio tells him that there's a way out, but he's got to move fast. So he looks for any ammunition he can find in the tank, including a grenade. He finds a grenade and he puts that on his waistband and then makes a break for it and runs down an alleyway shooting some walkers as he goes. And he finds Glenn. Glenn is in an alleyway and he's the one who was on the radio and he's the one who saved him. And so they run and climb up a building and get away from the most pressing issue of the walkers that were right there. After a brief breath, Glenn brings Rick into the department store that he's been getting supplies from, and you meet a whole new cast of characters. Whole bunch of new characters that we don't really have names for yet. We don't really have backstories for. We're just meeting them, and it's an eclectic group. And so they are explaining to Rick how it's his fault that they're under siege because he made too much noise. And if they end up dead, it's all on him. Guilt trip city. They're not in Atlanta anymore. They're in Guilt Trip. And so they make it a point to be like, you know, they're drawing the noise and they can smell us and they kind of can see us, but like it's really on like animalistic instincts. Okay. And so after they're done yelling at him for making all the noise and bringing all the walkers into the area, you start hearing a gunshot. And the gunshot is coming from the top of the building. And it's another one of their crew. Well, kind of their crew. A member of the people that are people. And it's this kind of terrible human. Like, he's a bad guy. And he's just rude and racist and he's not a good guy. He's a good shot, though. So I can see why he has usefulness. Because he was shooting at zombies and making his mark and not really wasting bullets. I mean, wasting bullets because he didn't need to shoot the zombies. But he was at least getting kills. So they've got some race interwars between the members of this refugee group, which is not good when you're, you know, the human race versus zombies. So tensions flare there. Rick goes into police mode and locks this racist guy to like a storm pipe up on the roof. And he's like, you gotta calm down because we're all in this together now. We're all humans versus non-humans. And so he like gives him a morality lecture. And then, so the entire episode is them trying to get out of the department store that they've been locked into because of course they're surrounded by walkers. And so they come up with a couple ideas. One, they're like, well, maybe the sewers. So they go down to the basement and of course fear ensues because they see there's like a sub basement and Glenn and one of the other guys needs to go down into the basement and like go down a sewer drain because that's not terrifying at all. And so they go down and exploring there and Rick and one of the ladies goes up and watches the front door to make sure there's not a breach. And you find out one of the characters was a city zoning planner. And so she knows the city pretty well. So that's a little bit on her backstory. And we learned the other lady has a sister, which is a little on her backstory. And so we're getting like little tidbits of backstory along the way. So they find the sewer isn't really gonna work for a way out because there are walkers down there. Luckily behind a gate, so they can't get through, or at least not yet. They go back to the roof and start brainstorming again, and you see construction vehicles that like they cleverly knew that like they keep the keys on hand for construction vehicles. The next step is to create a diversion so someone can get to the construction vehicles. And this is where knowing how the walkers recognize humans versus fellow zombies comes into play, because they realize since it's smell, Rick has the bright idea to grab one of the dead zombies and hack it open and smear guts all over him and Glenn. So at this point, I'm reminded that anyone who doesn't really like gore really shouldn't watch this show. It's very gory. I mean, I like gore, so I mean, I'm not the one I'm talking to. But anyway, so they get the zombie and they cut it open and they start smearing guts all over Rick and Glenn. And using this disguise, they slowly zombie walk out to the construction vehicles, which it's actually working. Like the zombies come close, sniff a little, and then like carry on their like way. So yeah, they think they're gonna make it, and so they try not to get over cocky because of course they don't want to start moving too fast because that's a That's a giveaway. And they are probably about halfway there. I don't know. Distance is hard to judge in this show because they're walking so slow, and you don't, like, unless you're from Atlanta, you don't really know what street they're on. But they are getting there, and then they realize it's starting to rain. And in the rain, their disgusting dead smell is washing off, which is not good. So they're losing their disguise, and they need to make a run for it. And it's raining. Not that the rain really means anything other than they're losing their smell. Like, it's not like they can't run in the rain or anything. But they get to the fence, and Glenn and Rick jump the fence, and the zombies are all at the fence. And the zombies are going to break down the fence if they don't move fast. Luckily, they do, in fact, get the key, and they are able to start the construction vehicle. And both Glenn and Rick get in the vehicle, which is good. Because so far we like Glenn, and I mean, Rick's our main character, so that's a good thing. And now the next step is they need to get the zombies away from the department store so they can rescue the other people. And Rick and Glenn's solution to that is create a diversion. And the diversion is a very loud red sports car with the alarm blaring and a loud engine. And so that's what Glenn gets to do. Glenn gets to drive a fancy sports car through the streets of Atlanta and cause a ruckus. So that's what he does. He causes a ruckus. So Rick gets the truck to the department store. The crew that was at the department store has come down from the roof, except for the bad guy, which I'm forgetting his name right now. I know his brother's name, but we haven't met his brother yet. So, the older brother, I'm just going to call him that for right now. I don't remember what his name is. He is still on the rooftop because, unfortunately, one of our other characters tripped and dropped the key down like a pipe of some kind. And so there's no more handcuff key to get him out of the handcuffs. That might come back and bite them. But he did lock the door to the roof, so now the bad guy is locked up on the roof. So we'll see how that goes. But everyone else gets downstairs. The moving truck gets moved into the loading bay, and everyone gets loaded. And so everyone's safe. But the one guy did have to be like, I dropped the key. It's not my fault. I dropped the key. So, yeah, there's that dynamic in the world of The Walking Dead. Anyway, so the next logical question is, where's Glenn? Like, what have you done with, like, our forager? He's kind of an important member of our group. And then you shoot to Glenn peeling out on the highway that Rick rode in on in the sports car. Alarm's still blaring, but... And I think the other thing I missed is that at one point they were able to radio back to the refugee camp, and you find these people in the city are from that camp, and now that camp thinks they're dead because they said they were blocked in the department store. But now we know they're at least in a moving truck on their way out of the city. And Glenn is officially out of the city too, because he's, of course, in the sports car. But yeah, I think that was it. That was episode 2 of The Walking Dead. I'm not done with my makeup yet, but I'm done with this video. So thanks for watching. Bye.